Hey guys, it's Bridget with San Diego Seed Company, and this video is going to be about demystifying dahlias. I'm taking the time to shoot a very specific, special video for all of you who have purchased our dahlias because we're getting a lot of the same questions, which is great. That means we need to answer them. And so I'm going to be talking about the different sizes and the tubers or the clumps and what it means when you plant them and everything that you need to know so that when you get your dahlias and you take them out of the bag, you're not so confused and you're confident that what we have sent you is going to sprout and give you a beautiful dahlia bulb. I like to say that dahlias are very much like people. They come in all kinds of different shapes and sizes. The actual flower has tons of different shapes and colors, and the bush, it can be very big, it can be a short, stout plant. One of the reasons why we love dahlias is because they're so diverse. It's really fun to grow a lot of different blooms. That's also reflected in the tubers or the clumps that we send to you in your dahlia purchase. What is really amazing is depending on the variety, the clump that you get can actually look very different from one variety to another. So typically what you're going to get is something like this. Now this is actually a clump. And so what it is there's these little danglies here, and those are actually the energy stores that send energy into the neck where you will get sprouts, which will grow up into your beautiful plant. When we dig these out of the ground, we try to include a little bit of the neck, and you can actually see on here there's a little bit of an eye forming. Now, some of you may be thinking, an eye, is it related to a potato? Yes, it is. Very similarly, these energy stores are just like a sweet potato or an Irish potato, and they're going to send energy into the neck, which will grow up the leaves. Now, I can't control everything that happens in shipping, and naturally, guess what? Things are going to break. One of these guys is going to break right off. Aha! Did I just ruin this? No, I did not. There's a bunch of different energy stores in there. And just like when you have a transplant, if you break one little root, the transplant can still absolutely live and grow. So although it's not ideal for one of these guys to get broken off, this is still a completely viable and happy clump to go into the ground. Now, it's important to note that these guys should not be tossed. This is also an energy source. In fact, a lot of professional dahlia growers don't buy them by the clumps. They actually buy them by the individual tubers, and they will sprout these and plant them and get their blooms. We have seen both from our trials and from trials of partner growers that actually the end plant that you get from something like this versus something like this doesn't actually differ that much in size. It's incredible. So whether it's this that you plant or this, don't miss out on the live plant matter that you have that can give you dahlias. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the anatomy so I can drive this point home. So the neck is actually the stem of last year's plant. You can see that here. These are all the energy sources. The older the plant, the more energy sources it will have built up. So you could take a 3-4-year-old plant out of the ground and it might have a lot of tubers dangling from it. And those can actually be cut or divided to give you more plants. Any of these energy sources are going to help to produce an eye, which will then sprout. Just because one of these tubers falls off of your clump, that does not mean that it cannot produce an eye, which will then produce a sprout and turn into a plant. Don't toss any of these that might have fallen off in shipment. Go ahead and plant them. The easiest way to do it is actually just put a tray of some nice seed starting mix, moisten it, lay it down flat, and let it sprout. And you can see the sprouts come up and then actually plant it out. Interestingly, one of the dahlia growers that I love, that I have followed and learned a lot about, she actually recommends that you plant small tubers that are about the size of a AA battery. That's it. And she gets massive, beautiful blooms. So whether it's this size or this size, I promise you, dahlias are really easy to grow and plant. The biggest key thing is dangles down. I'm gonna make that like a sticker. I think that's funny. Dangles down, neck up, put it in a pot or in the ground where you know where they are each year, and if you wanna dig them back up, you can. and then let them bloom and become beautiful, gorgeous flowers that you enjoy all season long. So you might be thinking, well, where did you learn all this dahlia information? Well, interestingly enough, San Diego County used to be one of the biggest flower producing counties in the United States. All of North County, San Diego used to be all beautiful greenhouses. And our weather here is really great for growing dahlias. So we have tons of local dahlia growers who have been nice enough to share information with me and help me learn how to grow big, beautiful dahlias. I know you're probably thinking of very specific people who grow dahlias and flowers, but I'm really looking for local knowledge, and that's who's taught us how to grow these amazing plants. Now let's actually plant one together so that you can see how it goes. It's so simple. Really, do not overthink it. When you get your dahlias, you're gonna pull them out of the bag. And actually, oh, looky here, I have some dahlias. Let me grab them. Dun, 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 dun. So you're gonna get your dahlias, and we ship them in just plain paper bags. I know the paper bag we put them in is not fancy, but that's because they're not meant to live in here. This is a live product, and you wanna plant it right away. So you're gonna pull it out, you're gonna have your alien looking plant matter, and you're gonna know that the dangles go down and the neck goes up. Now you may not be able to tell on your clump that there is a neck, and that's okay. You don't have to take the time to look and be like, oh, is that a neck? Just know, dangles down, neck up. You may get a plant where it's very clear and easy to tell, okay, this is the neck. You may not, that is okay. It's literally just gonna go into a pot with some nice potting mix. I've got a little bit of extra peat moss in here. I'm gonna put it about 6 to 8 inches down, and I'm going to cover it up. That's it. One of the things I love about dahlias is I can do it with my baby on my hip. It's so easy to plant them whether it's in ground or in pots. One of the reasons why I like doing it in pots is then I actually pull them out and store them in the wintertime, and then I use the pots for something else. You might recall from last year's dahlia videos that actually all of these pots, the ones that have lettuce in them, they did have dahlias in them. After they were done blooming, I pulled those dahlias out, and then I planted lettuce in the wintertime. These are almost done. I'm gonna harvest and eat all of these beautiful heads of lettuce, and then I'm actually gonna put dahlias in these pots. So nothing gets wasted, and I'm using the pots year round. From here, the soil is relatively moist. It's not saturated, it's not waterlogged soil. We actually did get a little bit of rain. I might water the top of this slightly, but I'm not gonna water this regularly and consistently because I'm going to wait for a sprout. Once I get a sprout, it will use the moisture in the soil to start growing. If you start watering heavily before the dahlia sprouts, you do have the chance of rotting the tuber. So be conscientious of that. Somewhere between, I'd say like 1 to 2 weeks, you should start seeing a little beautiful green thingy pop out of the soil, and then you know you can start watering. The tubers are in full growth mode, and in a couple of weeks your plant is going to grow up big enough that you can start staking it, fertilizing it for flower blooms, and before too long you'll have gorgeous dahlias to enjoy.